NetsBoy, so let's hear what he has to say. His name is NetsBoy, he thinks the world is all over when the Nets just can't play.
What up, Net fans? NetsBoy here, bringing you latest in your Brooklyn Nets news. All right, so it's been a little over 3 weeks since my last NetsBoy episode. As you know, these episodes are happening few and far between, so just bear with me. But some significant things have happened in this last 3 weeks, in this last stretch for this Nets team. My last episode, I talked about how I was going to the Nets game to see, the Vince Carter jersey retirement ceremony, retirement ceremony. I got to say that was amazing. It was an honor to be there and witness that. My all-time favorite basketball player getting his number retired with the Nets was amazing. I was very proud of the whole thing. The game itself was a disappointment, but being there for the ceremony was the highlight of probably one of my Nets fandoms. Probably one of the best moments of me being a Nets fan was being there and watching that. So that was cool. But since then, this Nets team has been playing pretty well. And here we are at the beginning of the All-Star break, which is what I'm filming this episode. And the Nets are 20-34 and are only a game and a half out of the 10 seed and the final playing spot. They did that by winning 6 of their last 7 games up to the All-Star break. And let's be honest now, they really should have won 7 in a row. But after having one of the most impressive comeback victories almost in the history of the franchise, where they came back against the Rockets and scored, 4 points in 7 minutes or something, with D'Angelo Russell hitting the big shot at the end. They followed up with one of the most disappointing losses I've ever seen against the Wizards, which is the worst team in the NBA right now. So if they didn't have that stinker against the Wizards, this Nets team very well could have ended this stretch going 7-0, entering the All-Star break. And it's just been one thing after another of impressive play by this Nets team. And we're going to touch upon that in a second. We're going to talk about what we're seeing from this Nets team and maybe what could happen with them after the All-Star break. But before we do that, we do got to talk about the elephant in the room, or dare I say, a lack of elephant in the room. And that is no more Ben the Useless Simmons. Now, if you remember earlier on in this season when I did my preseason expectations and predictions, which, was a long time ago, one thing I said in that episode was, I guarantee you Ben Simmons will not finish the year on this Nets team. And I said, I don't think they're going to trade him. They're probably going to see what they can do with him, see if they can figure out a way to trade him, or maybe have him increase his value enough that a team might want him or something. But ultimately, that's not going to happen. And the Nets are just going to buy him out. Remember I said that? Well, I couldn't have been more correct, because that's exactly what happened. Look, we all knew this was going to happen. It was like, I shouldn't even be bragging of how accurate I was, because I really feel like any common basketball fan could have figured this was the track that we were going to go down with this guy. Ben Simmons just does not belong on this team beyond this, at this point in general. We see who he is. He is a solid starter at best in the NBA right now. He's a player that can give you 25 to 30 minutes a game and give you 8 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, which is pretty good if that's what you need. He was never going to be the old Ben Simmons, the all-star Ben Simmons. He's never going to be that player again. I don't think that's ever going to happen. And the report is he's going to sign with the Clippers, get another new fresh start. Good luck, Ben. That's all I got to say. I couldn't be more happy that he's no longer on the team. And it wasn't like I didn't see him. Like I said, it's not like I didn't see him as a solid player. It's just, he just didn't belong on this team. He makes over $40 million to be mediocre. And in a team that's looking to play the young players and see what you've got and develop, what is there with Ben Simmons? We know who he was. We know who he is as a player. He was never going to be that all-star player. And so it makes the most sense about the buyout. Ben Simmons agreed to it. I'm all for it. And, ding dong, the useless man is gone. I mean, that's all I got to say. He was useless. Yes, he had his moments. And yes, he was a solid player at times, but he was not worth the contract. He was not worth the roster spot that he was taking up, which now that he's gone, the Nets have a roster spot open, and hopefully, I keep on trying to see if the report will come through. I feel like Tyrese Martin is going to be converted into a regular contract because he's actually out of options in his two-way contract. Like, if he doesn't get a regular contract the rest of this year, Tyrese Martin won't be able to play with the Nets for the rest of the year. He'll have to stay in the G League because he's on a two-way contract, and he'll use up all his service time. So I'm assuming that's what we're going to hear soon. Maybe before most of you see this episode, it could have happened. I'm assuming we're going to hear that Tyrese Martin's going to get a full regular contract since the Nets have a roster space open because they let Ben Simmons go. But overall, what can I say about Ben Simmons? Guy was always hurt. When he did play, he had his moments, and we saw that he could be a solid player, but never lived up to the hype. Never thought he was going to live up to the hype. That's why I gave him the name Ben the Useless Simmons. And now he is now no longer on this team being useless. He will be useless with the Clippers. So there's not much more to say out of that point. This was inevitable. It makes the most sense. And I don't think there's a damn Nets fan out there who's upset or disappointed about it. I think we all are on the same page as Nets fans. This is the most logical move, the smartest thing to do for Ben Simmons as well, because now he's got a chance to play on a contending team and play some really high, competitive basketball, but also for this Nets organization and the young players. So, in conclusion, we'll give a NetsBoy salute to Ben Simmons because we do that for all the players. Thank you, Ben, for your 2-ish years, 2.5 years. I don't even know because you missed so much time. I can't even keep track of it. Your year and a half, 2 years of being a very average player at best when playing and honestly being a nice seat warmer for most of the players when you sat on the bench while you were hurt for almost your entire stint. Good luck to you, Ben. So NetsBoy salute to Ben Simmons. Ding dong, the useless man is gone. NetsBoy's happy. And now we can move on and focus more of the future of this Nets team. Now, we really got to focus now on this Nets team and what's going on with them. All right. As I mentioned early on, they've won 6 of their last 7 games, are 20-34, and just a game and a half out of the 10 seed in the final playing spot. And honestly, I'm not going to say I expect them to jump up and get that 10 seed, but the way they're playing now and the fact that they still don't even have a fully whole team as both Noah Clowney and more importantly Cam Thomas is still out, I think this Nets team does have a shot at that 10 seed, especially since the Bulls traded Zach LaVine over the offseason at the trade deadline. Zach LaVine was traded, so the Bulls are significantly worse. The only team that you have to look at and say, can the Nets really jump, is the 76ers, who currently have the same exact record as the Nets, but we all know the 76ers have a lot of talent, and they've just been dealing with loads of injuries. Joel Embiid hasn't played in a while, and he might miss the rest of the year. I don't know if that's going to happen. There's some rumors that they might shut him down, which if the 76ers do shut down Joel Embiid for the rest of the year and he has surgery, maybe the Nets can jump the 76ers. But the 76ers still also have Tyrese Maxey and Paul George, despite how terrible Paul George was the other night against the Nets. The 76ers are still a better team, in my opinion, than the Nets. But I think the Bulls are going to drop. I think with the moves that the Bulls made, they're going to drop. And I think it's really going to be between the Nets and the 76ers for the final play-in spot. I really do believe that. So do I think the Nets are going to shock people and get into the play-in? No, but I do think it's a chance. And it's just, once again, this damn limbo that this team is in that I was afraid of, as I said at the beginning of the year, that this team just didn't suck enough. Well, here we are now into the All-Star break. The Nets already exceeded the preseason prediction by Las Vegas of 19 and a half wins. I think it was 19 and a half. Over under, they're at 20. So they already took the over if you took the bet on Vegas. And there's still 28 games to go in the regular season. And the Nets are just right in the thick of things. And it's just classic Nets because I once again talked about it before. This team was too good on paper, and we're seeing it. But what's interesting is even these last stretch of games, without the best player in Cam Thomas and with sporadic play by Cam Johnson because he's missed some time, this Nets team still won 6 of 7 games. And it's been really because of one true thing: the defense of this Nets team. Jordi Fernandez has gotten this team to completely buy in to this defensive identity. They have held every team under 100 points during this stretch of these last 7 games. And they're doing it by blocking shots, by stealing the ball, by tipping passes, by playing aggressive defense and having the other team turn the ball over. They're just dominating the game on the defensive end with great play from Claxton, from Zaire Williams, from Trenton Walford, who's looked fantastic since he's been back. We're going to touch upon him in a second. Keon Johnson. Everyone's just really buying in on the defensive end. Daron Sharp has looked sharp. No pun intended. There's just been a lot of good things on this team, by this Nets team on the defensive end, and we're seeing just an identity form. And we touched upon it early on in the year. This team was going to be a grit and grind team, and now we're really seeing it. And now that we know that, Cam Thomas is just honestly maybe just a week or two away from coming back, and Noah Clowney shortly after, this team's only going to get better. And as long as this team stays relatively healthy the rest of this year, like I said, they've got a chance for that 10 seed and the play-in spot. So, look, in addition to the fact that the Nets are playing great defense, we're seeing some great play from players that are getting opportunities now. I mentioned Trenton Watford. The Nets have now been using him as the de facto backup point guard behind D'Angelo Russell. And he's really thriving in that role. And honestly, dare I say this, his style of play is similar to that of Ben Simmons in the fact that he'll get the ball and push it and get in the pick and roll. He doesn't pass or facilitate the way Ben Simmons did. But what he does do is he looks for his shot and can play make and use his 6'9" frame to make the right pass and make the right play, and his ball handling skills. And he's just kind of thriving with getting to the basket and using his size to hit a floater or post up on smaller guards. And I think this is a good role for Trenton Walford. Like I said, it's kind of out of the Ben Simmons big guard mold. And I think Walford is thriving in this position. And it's just allowing this Nets team to be more free. We're seeing great plays from Zaire Williams. He's making big shots. He's playing with high energy defense. Keon Johnson has looked phenomenal for this Nets team. High energy, making big plays when it counts, being all over the place, stealing the ball. Claxton has been going through this great stretch of blocking players. He had 6 blocks the other night. He's getting through it. We mentioned Daron Sharp. He's getting healthy. He's showing what he can be. Everything's just coming together for this Nets team, and you're getting contributions from Tosan Awamba. Like, who the hell is Tosan Awamba? But my point is, this Nets team just is clicking. And now you put in Cam Thomas, who's going to come back, Noah Clowney, and possibly even Bojan Bogdanovic, which I'm going to touch upon him also in a second. All come back soon, probably shortly after the All-Star break. I feel good about this Nets team. The problem is, I feel good about this Nets team. Because unless the phantom injuries come back, which they might, this Nets team, I don't think they're going to finish in it with a bottom 5 record in the NBA, and I don't think they're going to get a top 3 pick in this draft. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see this Nets team finishing any worse than the 11th seed in the East. and maybe the eighth worst record, unless phantom injuries start happening, because they're just too good. They've embraced their defensive identity. We mentioned the return of Cam Thomas. This team is just too good. D'Angelo Russell is thriving back in his old role as primary facilitator and ball handler. I mean, I love D'Angelo Russell. I'm going to be honest. I think most Net fans do. I hope the Nets bring him back next year. I don't know if they will, but I think the Nets, for veteran presence, if they're going to go young, unless they draft someone like Dylan Harper, who's going to be kind of the face of the franchise as a franchise point guard, unless they draft a true face point guard in this coming draft, I would bring back D'Angelo Russell. He just fits the identity of this Nets team. He just fits the scheme and fits the role, and he's a fan favorite. And yes, he hasn't had the same type of success he had with his first stint with the Nets. He still is a key piece, and he's been clutch. And I mentioned it before. He made that big shot against the Rockets, and he just kind of feel like he belongs. So I hope Sean Marks brings him back next year. I hope he wants to return next year. He kind of said he really likes playing for this Nets team, so hopefully he will. But I would love to see him sign like a 1 year with a player option contract over the offseason, like 20 million a year, right? Like a 2 year contract with a player option, something like that, just so he can be the veteran presence on this team with Cam Johnson, who now we'll talk about him. He didn't get traded. Now, that to me speaks why I think this Nets team is going to make the play-in or be right there for the play-in. I would have traded Cam Johnson. I'm going to be 100% honest if I was Sean Marks, because I would have traded my best player to suck so I could tank and get a top pick. The word was there was no offer that was good enough that the Nets are willing to take for Cam Johnson. I think that I would have maybe pushed the envelope a little bit, but I'm going to trust Sean Marks. And I'm going to trust that he didn't like anything for Cam Johnson and looked at the big picture. And the truth is, if the Nets do bring back D'Angelo Russell and they still have Cam Johnson, they don't try to trade him, and they draft a good, young, possible franchise-changing player with a top pick, this Nets team could be very dangerous next year. And you do need veteran leaders. And I do think Johnson and Russell and Claxton could be the veteran leaders on this Nets team next year, solidifying with the young core of Cam Thomas, Noah Clowney, Jalen Wilson, and then whoever they draft with the many draft picks the Nets have. They're going to have at least 4, if not more, rookies joining this team. I think that's the future of this Nets team. And that's what I'm expecting. So I understand why, if you didn't like the offer, why Sean Marks kept Cam Johnson. I still would have tried to trade him for the sake of draft pick compensation and also trying to tank. But the fact that they didn't, I'm okay with it. But now I really think the Nets should keep him. And I really think they should bring back D'Angelo Russell. And I really think they should bring back Trendon Watford and Zaire Williams and almost bring back this same exact team they have now, except sprinkle in two or three really good young rookies. Like, I'm going to be honest. I'm actually really excited for this coming off season. I actually can't wait. Like, whether the Nets make the play-in or not, I almost don't care. I'm just like looking at this off season and looking at the young talent this Nets team has and the possibility of more young talent partnering up with the possibility of some veteran leadership. Like, this Nets team, finally some optimism, right? Some positivity. It's exciting. It's exciting to see that this Nets team has a future. It's exciting to see that they have an identity of defense and a great coach in Jordi Fernandez, who, let's be honest, he is a great coach. And it's exciting. And then it makes you wonder, how the hell are they going to screw it up? Because you know they're going to screw it up. There you have it. I'm going to wrap up this episode on that note. I was going to touch a little bit on Bojan Bogdanovic and how I think that the Nets probably are going to end up waiving him or buying him out as well. I don't think he's really going to ever actually play for the Nets. He might, I don't know. If he does come back, by the way, and the Nets don't buy him out, he's just another reason why I think this Nets team's got a shot for the play-in, because he is a legitimate wing player who can score and shoot the 3-point shot and can help this Nets team. If I'm the Nets, I'm buying him out as well and giving him a chance to sign with the team. And then I would convert Tosan Awoma into a full contract too. I think that could happen down the road. Just throwing it out there. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if he gets bought out. We'll see if he's not. He hasn't even returned yet. He's just been cleared to play, in practice. So maybe soon we'll see Boyan Bogdanovic back. But who knows? But there you have it. Let me know what you guys think about everything with this episode. In this episode, let me know what you guys think about everything. If you agree with me that this Nets team's got a shot for that playing spot, if you think that this Nets team should have traded Cam Johnson or been more aggressive at the trade deadline, which they did nothing. If you agree that the future is bright for this team and what could happen when Cam Thomas comes back and Noah Clowney comes back, if you agree that the Nets should think about bringing back D'Angelo Russell next year because he fits well with this team, veteran leader. Do you agree about everything? If you're excited or if you're just looking over your shoulder, waiting for the disaster for this Nets team because that's what they do, let me know about anything. And keep your eyes open to the next NetsBoy episode. Oh, wait. Also, good luck, Cam Johnson, in the 3-point contest. Almost forgot about that. That's something else that is happening. He's the only representative of the Nets at all during the All-Star festivities. So good luck to Cam Johnson in the 3-point contest. Let's hope that he wins and represents the Nets well. But yeah, so anyway, until the next NetsBoy, which probably will be a while, honestly, but we'll see what happens. Until the next NetsBoy, this is NetsBoy. Calming down and signing off.